All right, ladies and gentlemen, 8 o'clock on 8/25, August 25th. All right, we are very fortunate, okay, from the lovely state of Arizona. All right, I believe it's the North Scottsdale office, we have Alyvia McConnell. Alyvia, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
There you are. My pleasure, my pleasure. All right, well, thanks for taking your time out today.
I was saying, I'm actually at the Kierland office, not the North Scottsdale.
You're in the Scottsdale, not North Scottsdale, Kierland. Okay,
correct.
Good. All right, thank you for correcting me. Appreciate that. I wasn't sure which one, but now we know. All right, so tell us a little about yourself, how long you've been doing this, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I just hit my 2-year mark in July, which is crazy. I don't know how the time has gone by already, but I grew up in Washington State, actually. So I lived in Washington till I was about 21, and then I moved to Arizona. And once I got to Arizona, I kind of did a career change. I was originally in the nursing field. I was in nursing school, and kind of halfway through decided that wasn't going to be the right thing for me. And so I traveled for a bit and then landed in Arizona, and then got into real estate. I thought that I was going to do real estate. I just wanted to get my license because I thought, I'll be able to then represent myself and my family when we buy homes moving down here, because I knew a lot of my family was going to be coming to the area. And so anyways, I just thought I would get my license for the convenience of things. And then I was talking to someone one day, and they were like, you shouldn't do that. Like, you're going to save more money just using a professional than just doing it just to help yourself. And I was like, it stung when they said that. But then I was like, okay, well, that means I just need to actually get into real estate then, so I know what I'm doing. So, so then it kind of took the path of it being a full-time career. That's great. I was in real estate for a year while I was working out on a golf course doing bev cart. So I was serving drinks out on a golf course at the Trilogy in Rio Verde. And
cool.
It was kind of a fun way to get into it because I could network with people out on the golf course. And that's actually how I got my first deal, was one of the members out there. And so that just kind of got me into real estate. But then I quickly realized I'm not going to make this a career unless I make the full-time switch. Like, there just wasn't enough time to work another job and focus on real estate. So then September of this past year, so almost a year ago now, is when I got into real estate full-time, and that's when things really started taking off and being more successful for me.
Definitely, and that's why we have you here today, because things have taken off for you. And I just think, okay, so to me, what you just explained, the part that jumps out at me the most, that shows your character and so forth, is that someone said to you, oh, no, you can't do that. You're going to, you'll save or make a lot more money if you find a true professional. And rather than making that comment make you cower, it actually kind of, challenged you. Well, then I just have to get good, which I think is awesome. I think it's great. Right? That's
for sure.
Awesome.
It definitely, it wasn't what I wanted to hear. Like, it definitely, when they said that, I was like, oh, and it was actually a different realtor that I was talking to. And when they said that, I was like, I didn't like that. And I kind of just sat on it for a bit, and I was like, okay, well, I can't let that stop me. I just need to know what I'm doing then. So yeah.
Yeah. It's like when I used to prospect, the meanest people when I used to call around my listings and sales were always the realtors that picked up because they were still home at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday. And they'd be like, you're cold calling? That doesn't work. I'm like, oh, well, it's been working so far for me. I think I'll keep going. Yeah. So it's amazing when you start doing things and other people see you do it. It's like the old crab in the bucket theory. How do you keep one crab in a bucket? Make sure there's like 2 or 3 in there, because they keep pulling down the one who tries to get out.
I've never heard that. No. I like that.
It's so true, though, if you think about it.
For sure.
It's weird the way the world is. When someone starts doing something a little different, it irritates a lot of people. But it's on most of the times it's the best thing to do, right?
Yeah, I actually kind of experienced that when I started. I was a year through nursing, and that's kind of the same time COVID hit, and so it really messed up the whole nursing school, and in that moment, like, things were just not working out, and I was like, okay, maybe this is my sign that I need to do something different career-wise. And so after that, I did some traveling, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I actually ended up traveling with my friend just in a car for like 6 months and staying on different friends' couches across the country. And so many people, even like my own grandparents and like people in my family, were like so confused with what I was doing because I had a great career path going, right, with nursing. And they're like, what are you doing? I think they just thought that I was being lazy, and they were concerned about me, right? And then once I got into real estate, then they still were like, I don't know, because obviously with real estate, it's not like when you first start, you're immediately going to be successful. Like, it takes time and effort to put into it. And so anyways, yeah, people were kind of looking at me, even in my own family, like, I'm not really sure what you're doing. Luckily, my parents all along were my parents have the different mindset of you can be your own entrepreneur and do your own things, and it doesn't have to follow the path of what everyone else is doing. And so I'm super grateful I had my parents encourage me to do it. But there was a lot of people, my friends and family, that were like, what the heck? And now they're like, you're doing so great. And I'm like, why weren't you saying that when I was trying to make a change, right? So
and they usually say things like, I knew you were going to be so good at this.
Yeah.
You're perfect for it. Right? It's so funny the way they do.
Yeah.
You know, it's so true. It reminds me of that Steve Jobs comment, right? You know, the crazy people who are the ones who actually think they can change the world usually are the ones who do, right?
Well, you have to believe, right?
Right. No, I love it. I think it's great. And real estate is one of those things where you can create, like so I'll tell you a quick story about me. My family is all in insurance, right? My brother, my brother took over the insurance company that my father started. And I remember being 17 years old and talking to my father and go, I don't want to do that. And part of it was, I just don't like insurance. And part of it was, I wanted to make my own trail, right? I wanted to do my own thing, create my own legacy and so forth. And he was like, he just couldn't believe that I wanted to do that. And I was like, yep, that's what I'm doing. So I totally agree with you 100%. It's so much more fulfilling when you go out there and you make your own trail and design your own. And I can just tell by talking to you now just a few minutes, that's you. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
Yeah. So tell us a little about your journey. I want to hear about it. I can see you've been full-time now a little over a year. Give us some good stories about what you've been doing and all that good stuff.
Okay. So for the first year, right, I was working BevCart, and then I did a trip to Asia for a month and a half. And when I got back from Asia, I was planning on going back to BevCart. I wasn't even planning on going to full-time real estate yet. But when I got back, they had told me that I would have my job when I got back. And when I got back, they basically said, you no longer have a job here. And so I kind of was forced into, like, I wasn't going to make the decision to transition to real estate full-time right away, but that kind of led ultimately to, well, I'm not going to go find a different job. Like, that's pointless. I already could just focus on real estate. And so that's really what forced me into the transition to full-time real estate. Right when I got back from Asia, that's when it started. And it kind of worked out well because I had a month and a half of no work, and then I came back ready to go. And so then I started. At that point, I was still nervous to hold open houses. Like, it was terrifying to me. I don't know why. Not like the safety aspect, but just trying to just going, like, even just putting out the signs, like, gave me anxiety. I was like, I don't know if I'm putting out the signs right. And like, so there's so many different things where I just like didn't know what I was doing, and it scared me. And so I think for a while that I wasn't doing it as consistently because I was scared. But I was like, okay, that's the only way that I'm going to be successful. And I'd rather do open houses than go cold call. Like, to me, I rather meet people in person than other ways of finding leads. And so I kind of just forced myself. I wrote a goal, like, I need to do it at least once a week. And sometimes I would do two, like one in the weekdays and one on weekends. And that kind of got me into a more consistent swing of things. And then one open house. So I live in Fountain Hills. And so I love focusing on this area when I can. And when other agents have listings in Fountain Hills, it's not very often with Berkshire that we have listings in Fountain Hills. So when we do, I would just try to hold the open house as much as possible. And I got 2 different sales the beginning of this year, back to back, like February March and April were two people that I met at open houses, and I closed on deals with them. And so just from those open houses, I got two big deals, and then it kind of like clicked to me like, okay, it's really actually working, putting in the effort, and now I can hold an open house without even thinking about it or stressing, but it just was that getting over my fears and going and doing it. And so I still consistently hold open houses. I do one a week at least, and I still that's where I get the majority of my leads is open houses. It is a great way for me to do it, and
just
I can
give an idea.
Right, like.
Give me an idea of the sale prices that you were talking about in Fountain Hills.
Yeah, so in Fountain Hills, the majority of the houses are around like 700 and up, right? So
right.
I was holding an open house first open house I held was like 1.4, and it got me a sale that was 850. So it didn't end up being the same price range, but I realized that the higher price ranges I held in the open houses, people would come in because they just were dreaming, right? They were like, even if they if they knew they couldn't afford it, they just were like, oh, this is gorgeous, and it would attract them in. And so I would find people coming in that weren't even necessarily like, they were in the very beginnings of their search and they were just kind of looky-loos. But it gave me the opportunity to be one of the first agents to actually like take them seriously and start working with them. Even though that wasn't necessarily their price range. And so that one, and then another one I held a lot is actually still listed, but it's at 1.3 million. And so that also got me a ton of leads, people I'm still working with to this day, trying to find them a house. So it's, and that was about a year ago that it's almost been listed a year. And so that one specifically, I already closed one deal with someone I met, but it just brought me a ton of good leads. I think it's a house that it captures people's attention because of the views, but once you get inside, it's a really weird layout, and so people can't necessarily envision themselves in it, and so then they start looking for other places instead. And so that kind of was the perfect leeway for me to then be like, well, there's these other listings down the street that may be interesting to you instead.
Yeah, see, that's so great, Alyvia, because you're doing exactly what I teach at Success Series, which is, an open house is an excuse to prospect that turns into a free retail store, because if you're paying attention, like you obviously are, you know that a lot of times you don't sell the house you're in, but you get leads and you can follow up, get all their information, make sure you're paying attention. And obviously that's what you've been doing, which is incredibly good. That's I like the phone. Some people like door knocking. Some people like active open houses. Some people it doesn't matter as long as you have a way to be proactive to create leads that you can work with.
Yeah. So I feel like that's gotten me a lot of buyer leads, and I'm still continuing to do that. But now I'm really ready I want to focus in on getting my own listings, because I'm like, okay, if I have my own listing, then I'm still going to hold the open houses and get the business, but then I can have both sides of it, right? And so I'm really now trying to hone in on how to get those listings. And I've actually been successful sending out neighborhood reports, just like from the title company, getting a list of email addresses I just started with my neighborhood actually. And even just last night, someone then went from that neighborhood report to my website and then got an estimated home value with like the automated thing that our website does for us with Berkshire Hathaway. And so anyway, just through that, then I'm getting potential listing leads. And so I'm trying to focus more in on that, and then also sending out marketing to different areas. Like I sold a piece of land in Eagles Nest, which is a gated community in Fountain Hills. And the land itself wasn't very expensive. It's all relative, right? But the houses in that neighborhood are multi-million-dollar houses. And so I saw the opportunity, right? Like, hey, I sold something in there, even though it necessarily wasn't the multi-million-dollar house. Then I kind of felt like I had it in, like I've sold something, right? And so I sent out a flyer and did a QR code on the back of it, like these people doubled their equity on the land. You could potentially double your equity on your place. And someone actually then scanned the QR code, and I followed up with them. I left them a box at their house with a handwritten letter, and then they called me over for a listing appointment for a $3.6 million house. And so I'm trying to work more on that and figure out what exactly is going to be the most successful for me. But some of those things really don't like the neighborhood reports are free. I can send those out all I want, and I don't have to pay for any of that.
So smart. And they're actually slick looking. They're very well done. They're very markety, I call it, if that's a word.
Yeah.
They look great. And you're doing all the right stuff. You're going to the house, you drop something off. They're like, oh my God, this person actually came to the place. So,
Yeah.
I mean, you're doing all the way you're being proactive, and you're taking advantage of the company tools. Like when I called you, I don't know, it was a couple months ago now, about your production. And I always pull the person up and look at what they're doing. You have the website set up. You have all the stuff set up. All the different sites has a picture of you. So you're taking advantage of all the stuff that you should be taking advantage of, which not all our agents do, which is kind of sad. That's why when I call them, I'm like, hey, by the way, you don't have a picture here. You don't have this set up. So it's really good that you've done all that, because all the actions that you're taking get multiplied even further because you have everything set up. So congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I feel like it's taken a while. Like, I feel like I'm just now hitting a place where I feel confident in working all the different aspects. Like, I just updated my bio literally last week. Like, there's things still where I feel like it's taken a really long time to get to a place where I feel like I'm doing the right things, because it's overwhelming when you first get into real estate. Like, you get a whole list of things to do, and it's like, where do I even start? And then especially when you're working a different job, it's just easy to kind of put it off. And so I think once I finally have that push of like, I don't have any other income, like this is my only source, then that's really what pushed me to actually do the things I need to do to be successful. So.
Well, and it sounds like you have an awe. Like I know when I started, I had an awe. Like you said, oh, just doing an open house made me nervous, because you understand how important, how big of a decision this is for people. And I would always keep that awe and that excitement about the business, because it comes across when you're talking to people. They can sense it. That's why they want to work with you.
Cool. I've never had anyone say that. Thank you. I will keep it. I'll try.
Yeah. No, keep it going, because all those actions and all those things that you're doing are just going to keep paying off. So let me ask you this. So this is my favorite question to ask people that are rocking and rolling and doing transactions. And if you could, so when you started and you got in the business full time, and now you're doing transactions and so forth, what would you tell people, like your 3 best pieces of advice? Like 1, 2, 3. What would be and they don't have to be in any order. I mean, they could all be ones. Like, what would you tell them is the biggest thing that you would focus on?
The first thing I would say is treating everyone, like potential clients, just everyone that I interact with, try to treat them like family. I feel like that's how I've gotten a lot of loyal clients, is because they work with agents that maybe don't have the best, they don't seem like they care about anything but themselves, right? Like, they're in it for the money. And coming from nursing to this, like, I've known I want a career path where I could help people. And so for this is a way for me to continue to help people. And I try to really show that in my business, that I'm doing this to help people. And so I really think it's important to treat people like family, and not just all business, but also it's really about the relationship for me. And I think that really shows off and comes off to people when I act that way towards them. Right. So I think that's been been really important for me. In my business, people have reached out to me and said, hey, we're working with an agent. And I just keep following up, even if it's like, hey, happy birthday. Like, hope you're having a great day. Like, just casual conversation, nothing that actually has to do with real estate. But in the end, like, one of those people that said they have an agent ended up following back up with me and saying, hey, like, we didn't end up liking that agent. We want to give you a chance. And I think it's all just because I just treated them like normal people and showed respect, And so that one's been really important for me. Another would be activity breeds activity. Like, there's times where I would get discouraged. I'd hold open houses and no one would come. Or, there's different things where it's like you thought something was going to pay off and it didn't. But I quickly realized that when I would put in the effort to show that I was trying to do something, I always feel like something would come in return. Like, maybe you didn't get anything from the open house that day, but the next day you get a referral from someone. And so it kind of just, I just don't want, like, I didn't want to do something and felt like it had no payoff, but I realized quickly that I still would get something in turn. The more you put effort in, the more you'll get out, So, activity breeds activity. And then the third thing I'd say is, like, when you thrive, your business thrives. I didn't really have a routine, a personal life routine when I got into real estate. And I quickly realized, like, I need to work out in the morning to get my day going. And that's a huge thing for me. I have to take care of myself before I start taking care of other people. And so, fill my bucket and then I can fill others, right? So I think that it's really important to take care of yourself and make sure that even though this business can be hard to have time for yourself, that you still dedicate, even if it's an hour or two a day, like maybe in the morning, maybe at night, like there has to be some boundaries. Otherwise you'll just drain yourself out.
Right. I love it. I love it. Take care of yourself, have a routine. So what you said first was, the way I always describe that is MMFI, make me feel important. Right, the relationship, and it sounds like you're doing a great job at that. And I know my favorite saying is, put the body in motion, the mind shows up. Activity definitely breeds activity. And if you have a routine and a time block schedule and you take care of yourself, and everything else will come into play. And those are huge, huge points. So congratulations. I love those.
Thank you.
Yeah. So coming from nursing, and my wife's a nurse practitioner, and she's the CNO, believe it or not, there's such a thing, Chief Nursing Officer for Nevada Health. So she's like the executive part of the whole team, and they're all over Nevada. And so I'm very familiar with the nursing business. And we have a couple people that are very successful agents in Nevada, Arizona, and California that used to be nurses as well. If you can be good at nursing, which takes a lot of work and a lot of time when you're doing it, well, the routine and all of that stuff, if you let that translate in. And I think that the training is good because it teaches you to deal with people, because you're dealing with people in the health business. So that probably was a huge thing helping you with dealing with people, right?
For sure, definitely. And you have to, especially in nursing, you can't have, you can't not like someone and then just not have you have to always have your smiling, happy face on when you're helping people. Like they don't care what you feel. It's all about taking care of someone and making sure that they're okay. And so I think that really helped, because you have to, it's very similar where it's client facing, right? And you have to have that game face on. Even if you're having a bad day, you can't walk in there acting like you have a bad day, because they or their family members could be dying, like there's a lot more important things out there than how you're feeling. And so I think that really helped with then pulling that aspect into real estate, where with your clients, you need to have that similar attitude and always keep things positive if you want to have a memorable, good relationship with people. Right.
Absolutely. It's like, and it's called something else in the medical field, and I can't think of what it's called, but we call it a fiduciary responsibility, right? Your client's needs come before yours.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So it's such a great training and so forth too. Now, so you came, and what a great trip to take before you get into it. And you take that trip, you explore Asia, you get into real estate, you come back, you realize, so now I got to make, which was actually a blessing in disguise. You probably see that now.
It really was.
Your job. Yeah. But let me ask you this. So now you get into it. You've been doing it for a while. You have transactions. You're rocking and rolling. What surprised you? What jumped out at you? Is there anything about real estate that is a little different than you thought, or anything that you feel necessary to mention?
Yeah. Honestly, one of the big things that surprises me is other agents' attitudes towards me, and even hear it from other colleagues. Like, I just didn't really realize going into real estate that some of the biggest hurdles and hardest things I would deal with are actually the other agents out there. There's just so many people that I quickly learned that all agents are not made equal, right? And I really just thought going into it that if you're in this business, you would have to have the similar mindset of make everyone, be respectful to everyone and have the positive attitude and continue to build relationships, not break them down. So I've definitely had my fair share of, especially listing agents, because I've worked predominantly with buyers so far, a lot of listing agents that have been very challenging to work with and not the best attitudes, or not even, I don't know. There's just so many different aspects, even just like you place an offer and then you don't hear from them. And then you also are like, are you going to even counter? And then they're like, no, we're just rejecting it. And it's like, that's just not how I want to run my business. And I guess it's a great learning lesson of what not to do, but I just wasn't really prepared for dealing with the other agents out there who are honestly not really doing their clients a service. They're just seems a lot of people are lazy, right? They don't even try to make a deal happen. They just say, oh, this is too far off, it's not going to work, versus why don't you send over a counter and let's see. You never know what my client may respond back, you know? And so I think that's been hard, because I feel like I'm 24. I feel like a lot of the agents I work with are usually older than me, and I think they kind of look down like, oh, just this little girl doesn't know what she's doing. And and it's like, I have to be the one to convince them to send over a counter. And we've had deals happen like that where I finally convince them and then something ends up working out, but it's like they weren't even going to send a counter offer over. And it's like, I've only been in the business a short amount of time, and I know these other people have been in it way longer. And I just feel like some people aren't maybe as motivated, or they just they feel upset or offended. And I don't know. I think that that's probably the biggest thing for me, is that.
I remember that.
I was not prepared for that.
My first full-time year, I was 20. And this is back, Alyvia, when there literally was nobody else in my office, not even in their 30s. Everybody was 40-something or more. Now, at least we have some younger people. But you're right. I mean, it's kind of a weird situation. And that's why next step for you is to become primarily, or at least 50-50, listing and selling, because, and honestly, the thing that's made it better, too, is since you've been in the business now, all buyer agents have to have buyer-broker agreements, which I think has cleaned up the business a little bit more, which is nice. So that's the next thing for you. You're doing your farming in Fountain Hills and everything you're doing. As you take over, you can add that professionalism, that enthusiasm, that even awe of the business to your business, and then you'll end up doing a lot. Just keep the same attitude and work ethic and energy and all that good stuff that you get going, and you just watch what happens with your career. You got and look at this is a business you can do until you're 80 if you want to, or more. So it's great.
Thank you. Yeah,
fun stuff.
I'm excited to see what the next year holds. I feel like it took some time to build up the momentum, right? But I feel like I'm finally at a point where this next year, definitely, I expect to see a lot more happen, just because I have the momentum going. I have the ball rolling. So.
And you're working. Like you said, you're not lazy. You're working. You're out there doing it. You take the job seriously. You have respect for your clients. So it's all great stuff. You're doing great. And I just want to say thank you very much, Alyvia, for taking your time out today. I really appreciate you doing this. This was incredibly awesome. And I'm sure a lot of people will get nuggets out of it. So thank you very much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I feel honored to be on the Rick Berube podcast.
Well, thank you very much. And we feel honored to have you. So thank you very much. We'll talk soon. Bye, everybody.
Okay.
And bye, Alyvia.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.